On Monday, Donald Trump appeared on Fox News where he revealed a bombshell about Joe Biden. I mean, something that could absolutely destroy the Biden campaign. Donald Trump revealed on Laura Ingram's Fox News program on Monday evening that there was apparently an airplane. You know what? I'm just going to let the president say it himself. Here it is.
I'd like to mention Biden because he's not controlling anything.
Who do you think is pulling Biden's strings? Is it former Obama
people
officials?
That you've never heard of, people that are in the dark shadows, people that...
What does that mean? That sounds like conspiracy theory, dark shadows.
No,
what is
people that you haven't heard of. They're people that are on the streets. They're people that are controlling the streets. We had somebody get on a plane from a certain city this weekend, and in the plane, it was almost completely loaded with thugs wearing these dark uniforms, black uniforms with gear and this and that. They're on a plane.
Where's this?
I'll tell you sometime, but it's under investigation right now. But they came from a...
So a whole plane filled with people in these dark uniforms. We don't know what kind of uniforms they were. Maybe it was military uniforms. Maybe it was just, the standard issue Antifa uniform. Maybe, I guess, is that a thing? Because this guy thinks it's a thing. But don't worry, folks, because he can't tell us any more than the whole thing. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Airplane, but he's talking to his girlfriend and he reveals their whole military plan. And then she says, well, when are you coming back? And he goes, I can't tell you. That's classified. But he's already given up everything. That's pretty much exactly what happened with Laura Ingraham. He's like, oh, it was a plane. It was filled with these people in dark uniforms. They did this. Oh, really? Wow. What else? Well, we can't tell you anything else. It's classified. There's an investigation. There's no evidence, by the way, that any of this ever happened. Nobody can find any kind of airport surveillance that shows, large groups of people in dark uniforms boarding a plane. Airports, pretty heavy security. I don't know if you've noticed that, but since 9/11, we've kind of beefed things up. That kind of thing wouldn't go unnoticed. And yet somehow it did. But Trump knows about it and felt confident enough to spill the beans there on Fox News with Laura Ingraham. Here's the thing. That whole little diatribe that the president went on about this super real thing, and these, I guess, are the people that are either controlling the protests or they're controlling Joe Biden. I guess that's what the investigation's going to flesh out for us a little bit. This little diatribe alone is grounds for invoking the 25th Amendment on the President of the United States. This isn't normal. This actually originated, as reports have suggested, from a viral Facebook meme that was proven to be false. So we have essentially this boomer in the White House that can't tell the difference between reality and a frickin' fake news post on Facebook. He's your horrible, idiotic aunt or uncle that you've had to hide from Facebook because they won't stop posting nonsense. And yet this guy somehow is president of the United States. The Republicans in D.C. see nothing wrong with him pushing these ridiculous conspiracy theories that, look, I can promise you there's not actually an investigation into this. The second anybody went up to somebody in a position to investigate and said, listen, there was an airplane filled with people in dark uniforms. They's heading out to Kenosha, and they's going to be throwing soup at people, and then they're going to get caught and say, well, no, that's just soup for my family. They would have said, cool, are these people in the uniforms? Are they in the room with us right now? Can you see them? Have you seen the soup? Because I'm sure by now we've all seen the viral clip of Trump, which was actually from a month ago, back in July, of him talking about the Antifa soup, where people from out of state would go to where the protests were, and they would bury bags of soup, and then the Antifa would they'd come and they'd dig up the soup bags, and then they would throw the soup at the cops. Trump says, but then if they were stopped by the cops, they'd be like, no, this is just a bag of soup for my family. But the reason they had to use soup, Trump says, is because bricks Bricks are too heavy to throw. Donald Trump actually said it is impossible to throw a brick. And soup is far more dangerous anyway, even though it's lighter somehow. The man is crazy, folks. The man is crazy. And I feel like I get crazier sitting here having to repeat these ridiculous things that he says. This isn't what somebody with a fully functioning human brain says and does. And I am not trying to be insulting with that. I'm trying to issue a dire warning to the American public. We have a president who is very clearly suffering from some kind of mental decline coupled with a mental illness. And if you don't believe me, fine. But how about we take the advice of medical professionals? Because do you know what they say? The exact same thing I'm saying, which is actually why I'm saying it. I don't have the expertise to diagnose the man, but the people who do are saying the same thing. Dr. Bandy Lee, Yale forensic psychiatrist, that's what she has to say about the president. That's what all of the other contributors to the book, The Dangerous Case of Donald Trump, that is what they say. When he goes out and he gives these interviews like this to Laura Ingraham, talking about airplanes filled with people in dark uniforms and, oh, he can't tell you any more about them, but, oh, they're the people somehow pulling the strings on Joe Biden. That is the mental illness creeping out. The man has descended into this paranoid delusion that everyone is out to get him. And to be honest, there's plenty of people out to get him. That's what it is when you're in politics. The other side is always out to get you. But they're not loading up airplanes with people to go start protests halfway around the country. That's not a thing. The only people who are being bussed into protests are the right-wingers, the Patriot Prayer folks, the Proud Boys. They're the ones, and there's actually plenty of statistical data that shows this, they're the ones crossing state lines to go and fan the flames of these protests. In fact, in Kenosha, of the little under 200 people that have been arrested, well over 100 are actually not even from Kenosha. These are people coming from out of state. So, yeah, there are people traveling the country, Trump. But it's not Antifa. And I know Rand Paul wants to subpoena Antifa flight records and get all of Antifa's receipts. Because as we all know, Antifa is a super real organization with a headquarters and apparently a bookkeeper. You know, they all have to turn in their receipts for reimbursement. These people have gone insane. Collectively, the Republican Party as a political establishment has lost its damn mind. They need to be committed. They need to have a team of doctors working around the clock on them to find out what exactly has happened to them. Because they have gone from being the party of just bad policy to now being the party that is straight up completely nuts. That is your Republican Party of 2020.